I got this fabulous little scarf-like thing when we were up in Evergreen. And I'm telling you, it's turning into a very multi-purpose shawl that I'm loving. Welcome. Hello. Welcome to Talking with Terry. It is Tuesday night. Your favorite spot is right here. So welcome. I hope you've had an incredible start to your week. I know that I have. All right, well, let's jump in today. We're talking about this one thing that could have a profound impact on your life. And you probably have done this in your life. You may not admit it and you may not call it this, okay? I'm going to take a deep dive with what that's going to be. Dot, you want to come here? So welcome. Dot's just wanted to come say hi, huh? All right. Well, if you're on here, drop in, say hello into the chat so I know you're here, and come join us. Come play with us, and love to hear what is going on with you. How are you starting your week? All right. Hi, buddy. I know. So this has become a thing now, and when I wear hot pink dresses, a few weeks ago, someone's like, you should start naming your dresses. So I have done that. This dress, I'm going to see if I can get on the camera here. This dress, it's one of my oldies but goodies. I love it. This dress is called the Caroline. It just came to me today. So I'm naming the dresses. I have about 105 more dresses to be named. So over the course of the next months when I wear them or bring them in, you will be getting a chance to name the dress as well. And if you saw on Instagram or Facebook, I literally have these cute tags that now I am naming them as we go. So now it will become a bigger thing. So I'm having fun with it. All right. So as some of you know that have been joining us, I am at Terry Cardula. And when I was a young child, I wanted to be a cosmetologist or a undercover private investigator in New York City. Like that is what I wanted to become. And it was interesting because my path took me to become a therapist. And so in some weird way, I combined those two talents. So the, cosmetologist is because everyone loves talking to a cosmetologist, and that's why I'm hopping on this call a little late today. I was at the pizza restaurant down the street that we love. And my husband and daughter were driving in a different vehicle. They had to go run an errand. They're like, we ate and left. And I sat and talked to the manager for another hour and a half. So taking that talking, with your cosmetologist, your hairstylist, right? And then I combine that and you're like, well, where does the undercover cop come in? Honestly, in total transparency, when we working with clients, a lot of times they're coming in and saying A, B, and C is the problem, and more times than not, when you unpack kind of the unconscious, stories and the unconscious process and patterns and behaviors and belief systems and all of that stuff, really was X, Y, and Z. And so you really did have to become kind of an undercover cop, if you will. Not necessarily a cop, an undercover, and to really unpack it. So that's a little bit about me. I went into, I got called to really step into counseling when I was very young. I was in high school. I was a peer counselor, and then I had an individual that changed the trajectory of my life. And it was that moment where I was like, no, this is what I'm supposed to be. So went in becoming a therapist, and then have moved on into what I feel called to do, which is to be here with all of you and talk. Like the name says, Talking with Terry. But we've evolved and grown, and now I just absolutely love working with women entrepreneurs and female business owners, really to help support them and having a bigger impact on the world. And whether that's an impact on 5 people or 50 people or 5 million people, I love helping us clear the path so that we can create a path to impact, right? So That's who I am, a little bit about me. So I'm actually going to take you on a little journey tonight, because how many of you have actually, I'm going to join you. If you are outside, because I mean, it's gorgeous out here, right? It's absolutely gorgeous out here. If you're in a place, now my great lighting is going to probably end. Sorry. How many of you, can you see this? Oh, you cannot see this. Well, obviously I am barefoot. How many of you have just taken and gone barefoot in walking around in the grass? When I was sitting here thinking about, like, I'm gonna actually, play with this for a minute, and I'm gonna actually sit out here in, oh heavens, where did you guys go? Oh, you guys went down looking in the grass. Okay, there you are. Hello. Not that way, this way. I'm gonna sit over here in the grass, and I'm barefoot and sitting here in the grass with all of you. And if you can get to a place, I'm actually going to encourage you to do this with me. Okay, I know it sounds silly for some of us, and for some of you are like, no, I love this, eating it up. Just go. And I know it's a little chilly. We're here in Colorado. If you're in Arizona, I was talking to one of my clients, and I said, do you have some grass? And she's like, no, Terry, we have dirt. So I'm like, whether it's dirt, whether it's grass, just take off your shoes and get cozied up to the grass or the surface that's below you, the earth. Beautiful Mother Gaia here with us. But really, I'm going to unpack this, and this is a really powerful tool. It sounds silly, and for some of you have heard of it, some of you may be like new to it, but it's really this concept of earthing. And really, earthing is just our ability to get back in putting our body back in contact with the earth. As simple as it sounds, gosh, it's, again, not a new concept. I mean, indigenous cultures have been doing this for the millennial, right? Like, it's just forever. But really, I think over the years, over the decades, over the centuries, we've lost contact with this. And if you think about it, it was just really funny. Like, again, these are the conversations that I find myself in all the time. It's like really the invention of shoes. And don't ask me when that was. Really, but the invention of shoes started to distance us from the earth. Right. And then, of course, we, go into this place where we're now in office buildings, and we're surrounded by concrete, and really just creating more and more distance away from being in earth. Right. And so I know some of you love hiking, and I'm like, yay, because like that's probably the best way to get back out in nature and spend time in nature and literally hug a tree if you want. But what's so funny was when I was sitting here thinking about this, and I was like, the other night, when I get home, like, that's one of the first things after a run, after I'm home, like, that's the first thing that comes off is my shoes, because I just want to be out and about. And even after a run, like, that's the first thing that I peel off. I just sit in the grass, right? And growing up, I grew up in a small town, and I could never. My parents had a hard time keeping shoes on me, and I remember multiple time we go to events, and they were like, you have to wear shoes, like, this is an event where you have to wear shoes. And I remember just like kicking and screaming and throwing up fits because I didn't want to put shoes on. And finally we settled on sandals, right? But more often than not, because we had mulberry trees around us, and we would always take the mulberries, and we'd have mulberry fights. We would walk on them. We once thought we were Lucy, and from the movie, for the show Lucy, Ball, and how she was smashing all the grapes, and we replayed that movie multiple scenes, and just smashing all the mulberries, just like covered in mulberry juice, and it literally stains yourself purple for days, weeks, maybe even months. I don't even know, but it seemed like we were always like the family with the purple feet, like seriously. But I mean, that was a really disgusting story, is that we would run on rocks out in the middle of our driveway. Obviously it was rocks, and I would literally create these and at the time I didn't know, I was a kid, but I would create these really thick calluses on my feet, because of course your body's going to protect yourself from running on pavement, right? Oh my goodness, I kind of created my own moccasins, if you will. Oh my goodness. But so obviously, we can't always, and why I'm sharing, we deserve to do more of this summer, okay? Just this morning, I was a client, and she was having a really hard time just kind of grounding her energy. And I said, please, if you can give yourself 5 minutes, go out and just take off your shoes and just, sit in the earth and kind of get recharged, if you will. There's lots of ways indoors to do this, and there's lots of things that I have not even heard of. There's an earthing bed, and there's earthing bands and shoes and all sorts of mats and things that you can use indoors. Personally, myself, I personally like the outdoors, and so I'm a naturalist in that way, if you will. But so I'm going to invite us to do this, and what this does, I mean, that there's so many different benefits and health benefits. It's super easy. It's completely free. Like, who doesn't love free, right? And whether we're tapping into this soil, whether we're tapping into, I mean, I'm a half mermaid. For some of you who don't know me, half mermaid. I love anything that contains water, whether that's a lake, a river, a stream, the ocean, and anything in between. I absolutely love it. And so that is also connecting with nature, obviously. So do what you feel called to do. But really, if you think about it, like, our body is an electrical, force. It has electrical currents running through our body, and the Earth's surface, if you will, is supplied with all these free electrons. It's again all this electrical currents that is running through the Earth's surface as well, and so this creates this electrical current, right? So it impacts all aspects of ourselves, but obviously it helps to balance out our cortisol levels. It helps to regulate our circadian rhythm, which a lot of people may not know about this. It impacts our biological clock, all these things. And really, when you think about it, like, our body absorbs these electrical charges, and obviously our skin is like a conductor. And previously, like I said, we've been kind of cut off from that, from just like the modern use of shoes and things like that. But when we can get back into it, not only does it have an impact on our body, but it also has an impact on our brain, our heartbeat, our neurotransmitters, which are super juicy. But it really helps us to balance it and ground our energy. There's oftentimes, and this is a little secret for those speakers there, if I'm at an area where I can go outside, now granted it has to be nice weather, but I will sometimes just kick off my shoes and just ground in before I speak on a major stage, because it's the fastest way I found to ground my energy to do so. Now, if we don't have that as a luxury, I usually will just go off to a quiet place and just ground and just imagine that I'm grounding my energy. But if you can get out in nature, it is the fastest way. But there's so many other health benefits. I mean, it helps with inflammation. Like, more and more research is showing that it helps to fight off, the free radicals. It helps to reduce the stress hormones. It helps us sleep better. Honestly, I started tapping into this a few weeks last week, because I was starting to have some sleep issues. And some of you that have been following me for a while know that I was a chronic insomniac for decades, until I kind of figured it out and stopped lying to my doctor. And so nowadays, if I have one night of poor sleep, I'm like, "Roar!" Like, oh my gosh, this is unacceptable. It's funny, right? You get a different perspective, and it kind of changes things. I mean, I went for probably 25 years being a chronic insomniac, and never was an issue. And then, like, once you reset that cycle and you're like, I see the value of sleep, and I understand the value of sleep. It's like, well, right. But I honestly started doing this because I was like, I just got to regulate what's happening in my body and kind of tap back in. And also, what is such a brilliant piece is, like, it helps us increase our energy. Some people will ask, there's a couple questions that I get asked all the time, but my number one question that I ask is, people always ask me, Terry, how do you maintain your energy? And it's interesting, because honestly, I'll tell you, kind of the cheated answer is that I truly am an extrovert. And so even though I'm here with you all, and I don't even get, like much interaction, like I still feel I'm connected to each of you. And so I love when you support the chat and, add to the chat, because I love being able to see and interact with you even more. But that's one of the ways that I refuel my energy. Obviously, this is another way of refueling my energy. But honestly, it's that, just honoring, when I talk about, like, really stepping into your authentic self, each of us, have our own journey ahead of us. And when we start to step into and become more and more in alignment with our authentic self and what we were here and why we're here and our purpose and our passion, our power and our potency and all of that above, all the PPPs and more. But it really starts to help us almost like charge in to our own unique energy pattern, and it becomes the fuel that fuels us, right? And so the more that we can become in alignment, the more that we can become in copacetic with that, it's game on. And that's really kind of the secret sauce by refueling your energy. Okay. But lots of other reasons, lots of other benefits. It also helps us regulate our automatic nervous system. And so, for a lot of us, we'll be living in the the sympathetic nervous system, where it's the fight, flight, or freeze. And so we go into this place of stress and cortisol, and it's releasing all these, stress hormones in our brain. It's tiring us, it's fatiguing us. And so when we can reset, if you will, or re-ground in, if you will, and doing this exercise like earthing, it actually helps us take us back out of that sympathetic nervous system and put us back into the parasympathetic, which is our rest and digest, which is where we'd ultimately like to be, because then that's where our bodies are staying regulated and in alignment, right? And so it's a really great way to help with that autonomic what am I saying, nervous system, right? But if you can, like, ideally, 5-10 minutes, and ideally, if we had all the way in the world, we encourage you to do at least 30 minutes to just sit out here and ground in. So I hope that you are joining me. If you are outside, feet in the ground like me, with me, put it in the chat. I'd love to hear if you're able to ground in and just notice. I mean, even just, I've been sitting here like maybe this is like 15 minutes. Even just noticing it, maybe you've even heard it in my voice of just like, because I'm feeling it, right? So it's something that's super easy. It's something super basic, and yet we take some of these things like this for granted, of just how super basic it has to be. Because I think sometimes we overcomplicate and we're like, oh my gosh, it has to be this big thing of taking care of ourselves and slowing ourselves down, right? Now, I trust you. We may have to come. We are working with some really cool partnerships. So you'll be seeing some different Facebook Lives from probably different locations this summer, because we're trying out some new things. And I promise I will at least have one coming from the pool, okay? But in the meantime, I got a couple little housekeeping things for each of you. We have started, and I don't know if I've shared this with you all or not, we are starting to do more Facebook Lives. You've probably seen that. Last week we did 3 Facebook Lives, which I was like, oh my gosh, was not expecting that. But when we are out and about on location with individuals, when we're in our studio and we have an opportunity to do Facebook Lives, you're going to see more of those, okay? Those are not going to be necessarily scheduled. Sorry. But guess what? If you like our page on Facebook or on YouTube or wherever you're watching this right now, and you hit the notification bell, or you ask to get the notifications, guess what? When we go live, you will be notified. And that's how, my friend, you can stay in the know and become like VIP, right? So make sure that you hit those notification bells so that you'll know. Now, on every other Wednesday, and you'll get notifications, we'll be posting it. So starting tomorrow, twice a week on Wednesdays, we're going to try to do it at around the lunch hour, noon to 1. So everyone who's taking lunch breaks, that can come and join us. we will be having a guest. So tomorrow we're going to bring in just a most delightful lady. Just I can't wait to share her success with you and what she's created, and just really, she's a powerhouse. Her name's Darby, and she comes from really creating some empires for herself and also her clients. But she's going to be shedding some light on that, with how do we create that. So oh, hello. So we're going to be doing that tomorrow. So don't miss that. It's going to be 12 to 1. And I'm sorry, just kidding. What am I saying? Well, it'll be probably about 12 to 12:30. Sorry, we're going to keep them about a half an hour, because I want to be respectful of everyone's time, but also just want to get in there and get the juiciness, right? And so make sure that you're coming and joining us for those guests that will be happening as well. And then anytime we're on location, last week you guys saw us up in Fort Collins. We were at the Little Bit Bar and Grill. If you have not seen my debut from Cocktail, the Tom Cruise movie Cocktail, you're going to have to tune in, because I'm telling you, that martini shaker has nothing on Terry. Like I'm telling you. I will share that we may or may not have made a mess in the bar, okay? But we had, I got to go up there and try out some amazing food. She's going to be sharing some recipes and things like that. So make sure that you're following us over on YouTube as well, because that's where all those shows go as well. So, and the other thing is this: if you yourself or someone would be fantastic to be interviewed, reach out to us. Reach out to Mary. Mary's my executive producer, as well as my director of communications. And so reach out to her. She, you can get her through my social or through her social, but reach out. We'd love to connect, and we'd love to hear, who you have in mind, or if that's yourself, what can you offer? What can you bring of value to our audience? And let's highlight your brilliance. Okay. So, because I know there's so many of you on this call that is just, has such yummy experience, yummy adventures that you've been a part of, and a lot of that wisdom we can share with people. And some of us, we've had our fair shares of lessons learned, and so why not share that and support other people on the journey as well. All right, my friends, I think that's it. Is there anything else that I want to share? I think that's it for right now. So make sure that you spend some time this summer, or, again, we're getting into the nice months. Spring is here finally, and we're moving into the summer month, which is my favorite season. And just make sure that you are taking some time to ground ourselves, to take care of ourselves in the summer times. In a lot of ways, it gets easier, and sometimes it gets a little bit more crazy, because there are not set schedules necessarily. There's a lot more freedom and time, and there's a lot more adventures happening. And so sometimes we get caught up and not take care of ourselves. So just make sure that you give yourself, carve out some time to reconnect in that capacity. So my friends, it's always a delight to be with you and spend time with you. Make sure that you check out our show tomorrow at 12 MST time, okay? And Meredith, love to have you come and join us. I'm actually going to be in Texas in August. We should connect and get to see you again, because it's been forever since I've seen you. So hope you're doing well. And as always, folks, be bold, be brave, be fearless, be the magic of you. Big hugs to all of you. And I am wishing you an extraordinary week. Big love. Mwah. We'll see you next time.